Welcome back to another edition. Something totally different today. Family member called, said, "Hey Dish, any chance you could help me renovate my kitchen?" Sure. When do you want to get started? You got to order cabinets? What are you thinking? A few months? Well, how about next week? Yeah, okay. So, got down here yesterday afternoon, started looking at the situation, and I thought, oh, it's full of energy. Got the top cabinets taken out, and there was a soffit in this area here. So that had to come out, because the new cabinets are going to go all the way up. The interesting thing about this house being built in the 60s, the pieces of drywall back then were small and they got plastered over. Those corners were this metal mesh, and this is a pain to take down. So something that makes that a whole lot easier is I picked up this Milwaukee multi-tool with a steel cutter on it. That zipped right through it, made that whole process so much easier. So one of the problems ran into, these cabinets are going to go all the way to the top, like I said. Got a drain pipe up there. And in these older houses, it's copper. So rather than reroute it, those cabinets were going to stay about 2 to 2.5 inches actually from the ceiling with a piece of crown molding. So I'm going to have to box that in a little bit, make some adjustments. We'll figure that out when the cabinets actually get here. So I got the base to do. Dishwasher has to come out. The sink has to come apart. There's a whole bunch of work to do here. Brand new floor. There's tile here now. That's got to get busted up, taken out. Electrical. New lights. Receptacles getting moved. It's a project. Let's get into it. Let's get started. It's time to get after it. For these base cabinets to come out, obviously the sink's got to go, right? So the first thing I did is unhook the faucet. Fortunately, underneath there were shut-offs on both the supplies. Shut them off, took the supplies. There's a nut underneath that holds your whole faucet up in there. Took that apart. Pulled that whole faucet out. Now the sink itself is clamped down with a series of these little clamps. And what that does, it holds your sink down to your countertop. There was about a dozen of these holding this sink down, so I took them off. Now the next thing we have to do is get underneath where the drains are. Those need to get unhooked, and then we'll pull this completely out of there. Something else that's underneath there for drains that's going to have to come out is the dishwasher attachments. So we'll take a look under there, get that unhooked, get the sink out of here. Under the sink now, this is your basic plumbing. This is the drain from your dishwasher. This gizmo here is an air gap. So when that gets pumped through from your dishwasher, it can suck some air. And the rest of this drain is for the sink. And all these just unscrew. So this all will come apart, and then we'll get that sink off. A lot of these sinks had caulking around them. So when you go to lift the sink out, it might fight you a little bit, but it should come out of there, and that project's done. The next thing to come out is the dishwasher. I've already unplugged it, and underneath the sink, I took the hose off. This one, the supply water for this is behind it. There's two little brackets under here that hold your dishwasher in place. So I'm going to take those out. Now what I'm going to do is slide this unit out so I can get at that supply water and then see what I have back there. Maybe there's a shut off, maybe not. If I don't see one, I'll run down the basement. Maybe there's one down there. But this, again, this is supplied with water, so we got to make sure that water's off before we start unhooking things. Let's get this taken apart. All right, the dishwasher is out. Once you take the 2 screws from underneath, there's a front cover similar to this. Take that off. It allows you to access, like all appliances have, these little adjusting feet. Turn them in, it settles it down. You can reach in. There's 6 of these for adjustment. You can reach in and catch the second set, lower that down. Again, make sure you're unplugged. And your drain hose is going to probably have some water in it. So throw a towel down, soak that up. This one had a nice stainless steel supply line down in the basement, quarter turn shut off. Perfect, all set. We're going to get this out of here. The next thing to come off, pull that countertop up. Inside all these cabinets are these little corner braces. And there's screws through the bottom of them that go up into the countertop. So I'll have to go inside each cabinet, take these screws out, and then that countertop should be ready to come off. All right, so I crawled underneath, got all the screws holding the countertop down. While I was down there, the screws that hold the cabinets to the back wall, the screws that hold the cabinets together, while I was there, I got those too. Now, a lot of these tops are caulked along the back. Sometimes people even use glue and different things to hold it down. So the top might fight you a little bit, but it'll come off there. I took a utility knife and just cut through this back edge. It was more of a silicone sealant back there. Stuck pretty good. And then I lift it up on the far end, and I'll be able to swing this out now, haul it right outside. Okay, so the sink is out, countertop's gone, all the base cabinets are gone. Something I needed to do was the drain setup for that sink and the dishwasher. That needed to get cut off to get the new cabinet in, the old one out. Something to remember when you cut off a sewer pipe is to cover that back up, seal it up so sewer gas doesn't come up. Another thing on the electrical, now even though the breaker's thrown on this circuit, I still took wire nuts, covered up the blacks, just in case. So the next project is the floor. It's tile right now. It's going to get switched over to a hardwood flooring. So all the tiles got to come up. And I'm sure that's not going to be a fun job. It's tile on top of a hardy backer. And the good thing is that hardy backer wasn't glued down. So it should come up a little bit easier. Then there's 2 layers of plywood. 1 layer of that plywood has to go. Then we'll get the hardwood flooring down. So I'm going to get after that tile right now. Well, that tile, got it up, and boy, that was a struggle. Basically, crowbars, pry bars, busting it up, and it's a small room. It wasn't terrible, but that stuff was tough to get rid of. And then underneath that was a 1/2 inch plywood layer. That had to come up too. We need the right elevation to bring that hardwood from the dining room right through the kitchen. So for today, got some walls to remove, some wiring to work on. Just going to stay with it. With the floor in the kitchen kind of at a standstill for now, it's time to get some walls taken out. In this area, right from this mark to the back wall, that all has to come out. That kitchen is going to come a little bit into the dining room just for a little bit more cabinet space. This switch has to get moved. Again, all this has got to come out. So I'm going to start sawing on this line, go to the other side, do the same thing, get the ceiling down the corner. And the trouble with that area is probably going to run into that metal lath again. So it's going to be a mess. Got to come out though, so I'll start cutting. Alright, that's actually going pretty good. What we have is a layer of drywall, and then it's plastered actually over the top of that. So I'll continue up, and that's cutting actually pretty good. I think it's when I hit the corner is where that lath is going to start, and then things will go a lot slower. So I'll finish this cut all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, go to the other side, do the same thing, and then I'll start working up in that ceiling corner. Having the shop vac while you're using the tool sure cuts down on dust. Even if you need somebody to hold it for you, however you need to do it, it sure helps. Something else to remember when you're cutting through anything steel, there's always that chance of making a spark, always that fire potential. I got a fire extinguisher and 2 pails of water sitting here, just in case. And also remember something, you may suck a spark in through your vacuum. So when you're done for the day, dump your stuff out where if it caught fire, it's not going to hurt anything. Just something to remember. You watch demolition shows and remodeling shows on TV. They go in there and they just smash everything. I like to do things a little more orderly, take things apart, try and have less of a mess and everything smashed. But when you come to a wall like this that's plastered, you know, we made all the cuts around it. There's only one way to take care of this now. Find the biggest hammer you got and start hitting.